wonder who's there. It doesn't feel like elf guy. For one, there's too many feet. I focus and see an actual party. Neat. First person inside is some kind of half-bird person with a bow. Probably their version of elf guy. She had a modest but noticeable swell at her chest, to make me call her a her under that leather armour. I make a white meat joke, if I can make it not sound cannibalistic. Behind her is a dwarven fighter. Big beard, big axe, big shield, small legs, dwarf. Him and the burb give a wary eye around the dawnlit yard, looking more serious than the elf guy ever did. Behind him comes an elf, or maybe half-elf. She doesn't look as graceful as elf guy, but definitely has the ears. Maybe it's because he's such a high level. Or because he's, rogue or something? Either way, she's definitely a caster. She's got a blue robe with some embroidery, but not the conical brimmed hat. Her staff is painted white, with a bunch of small gems bedazzled at the top. Is she a light mage? Or maybe she's not specialised? That'd be interesting. I haven't seen anyone do multiple elements yet. Wait, they brought the kids? Poe peers down from his nest as he awakens and confirms it. That's Rhonda and Frankie. It's not like there's a second pair of kids with spiders following them around. Fiona, the net-casting ogre-faced spider, has gotten a bit bigger, and seems to have marked Freddy's shield with one of her webs. At least the kid doesn't seem scared of spiders anymore. Rhonda's jumping spider, Lucas, is riding on a hat. The big guy's keeping a lookout. Did we have to bring them? Asked Burb Lady. And I agree. I mean, adult supervision is probably a good idea, but that party looks like they want a more traditional dungeon crawling experience. I don't think bring your kids to work day is a thing here. Hey, speaks up Freddy as he looks around. The only person who's been in and out of here more than us is the guild inspector. I mean, he's not wrong. The dwarf chuckles and motions for Freddy to stand next to him. Alright, laddie. You're our guide to guide us. We're here to take a look around and try and see if aught has happened to your dungeon between inspections. So, what'd you see? Freddy and Rhonda both look around, and their spiders do as well. Oh, they're so cute. I'm glad they got spiders. The kids have terrible spot checks. Fiona and Lucas have great vision. I just don't know if they can alert the kids to anything besides simple threats. Rhonda speaks up first. Well, there's a lot more activity outside than there was before. Last time we didn't get the feeling of a dungeon until we went inside, but now we feel it passing the gate. Yeah, continues Freddy, pointing up. There's also birds and stuff now too. Look at the size of that raven up there. All eyes turn to Poe, who preens himself a bit. No, I don't think you have a fan club, Poe. Well, maybe the Burb Lady. She is squinting at you. Raven, Scion. Doesn't look hostile. You kids said they were all staring at people a week ago. Huh, I don't remember that. The kids do, though, and nod their heads. Yeah, one afternoon the whole energy of the place shifted. It went back to normal, but people have been nervous ever since. Rhonda fidgets and leans out like she could see around the house from the gate. Should we look around a bit more outside before going in? Burb and Dwarf both nod at that suggestion, and the castle lady speaks up. Alright, Ragnar and Freddy in front, Yvonne, Rhonda and myself in back. Freddy looks a bit nervous about that, but doesn't make any moves to return to the back. Ragnar just smiles and nudges the boy with his shield. Ah, do not worry, lad. If what happens, I'll protect you. It's my job after all, he says with a laugh, which helps Frankie loosen up a bit. Now, I'm all for a nice field trip and tour, but I need some mana. Where's my weakest viper? Ah, there you are. You and a couple of rats, let's give the party a nice encounter to gauge their skill. Movement, warns Yvonne the bird as she knocks an arrow, and the front line raises their shields. Around the corner come my little chosen fight. A level 1 viper and 2 level 2 rats. Pretty sure Elf Guy could handle that fight without even batting an eye, but the party seems to be taking it seriously. Or at least taking the viper seriously. Leave the snake to me, lad. I can handle a wee poison. Keep the rest of our scritches, eh? Aye, Freddy replies. I can practically see his practicing running through his head as he slowly advances. Looks like good form to me, but I haven't exactly trained with a shield. Fiona, net the left one. He hardly finishes before she does just that, immobilizing the one rat, though it doesn't look like it will stick for long. Ragnar swings at the snake and misses, and takes the counter on his shield, keeping its attention nicely. Freddy is luckier and hits the rat with his hatchet, before Rhonda sends a little icicle to finish the rodent off. Yvonne catches my snake with an arrow in the neck? Do snakes have necks? Not far below the head, and that seems to end the little noodle. I'm a bit sad to see the little guy bite it like that, but I needs me some mana, and he's given me quite a bit for the cause. The other caster doesn't get to do anything before my rat escapes the web, and then escapes the encounter, giving me a nice bit of mana for the whole thing. Elf Lady speaks up. I hardly sensed any malice in that encounter. What do you think, Yvonne? No. If the dungeon was murderous, it could have sent far more than a weak viper and a few rats. Just the raven sign up there may be able to handle all of us. Oh, don't puff up at that compliment, Poe. You're probably not that tough, but you are level 3. I think these guys are level 1. I still can't quite tell. The encounter finished, the party soon rounds the corner, and I see them all stop and stare. I wonder what has their attention. There's the Ocrodil patch by the house, which isn't anything to be stunned by. They can see the anthill from there, though I don't think that's it either. They can see the hedge maze from there, but it's hardly knee-high yet. There's the various herb and tree notes in there, and the couple of chests too. Maybe they like the look of the chests. Oh, nope. It's not that. It's tiny. He's very plainly sunning himself not far from his webbed-up copse of trees. Rhonda managed to put to words what everyone is thinking. That's a big spider. I think that's the one that was guarding the spell spores the first time, adds Freddy. Well, I didn't think your dungeon has gone murderous on you. That thing would have been a much more deadly fight than the snakes and rats. Everyone nods, and Yvonne squints at Tiny. That is strange, though. I've never heard of a dungeon growing such a large bramblefield, nor having such weak chests guarded by something like that. Elf Lady nods. I think that's a question beyond our expertise. Perhaps we should check the house. If it really has been a while since anyone has delved, there should be some very nice rewards inside. Oh yes, Popper needs more mana. You guys might level from some encounters too. Hey, Poe, Coda, give me a few weaker flyers inside. I'll rally the spiders and see if the party knows to look up, and see if the kids learn that lesson. Turns out the kids did learn the lesson, and the party hadn't yet. Thanks to Rhonda and Freddy, they spot the ambush of ceiling spiders. Elf Lady gets wet, but everyone gets out of the fight with all their HP intact, and I get some more mana. Yvonne finds the rotten floorboard, and the looks in everyone's faces was worth far more than the mana I got for it. There is loot aplenty for them too, and I think everyone is going to be able to get some kind of upgrade for their gear after this. Rhonda finds some stone lily petals in the drawer and gasps at them, so I guess they're a good ingredient. I still haven't found a use for them yet, but I will eventually. Or rather, Queen will eventually. At the stairs up, I toss a spider swarm at them. I was starting to get concerned it might be too much for them, until Rhonda and the Elf Lady cast their spells. Rhonda casts a freezing gale, while the Elf Lady calls her spell Earth Pulse. The two raise their implements together and shout, Avalanche! For a moment, I'm worried they might have overdone it. I don't think I'm rated for avalanches. Thankfully, it just seems to be the name for a combined Earth-Ice spell, and the swarm is frozen and or squished. I wonder if I should tone things down, but I think that's about the difficulty I want for a decent encounter for them. The next few are fairly simple. A few bats, a few crows, a dire rat guarding a room with more containers than usual. While they work on that, I decided to change the encounter in the attic. I like the rat swarm, but I don't think the party is quite equipped for a boss swarm encounter. If they don't smoke it like the spiders, everyone will be pretty quickly overwhelmed. Besides, I have a good idea for a different boss. Ragnar is the first to climb the ladder to the attic, and he goes nice and slow. He's not exactly a stealth master, but I'm also not exactly going to let the encounter just rush him as soon as he's spotted. His eyes widen as he sees what I have in store, and he quietly climbs back down the ladder. What do you see? Asks Yvonne, and Ragnar excels. 2 dire rats, lightning enhanced. Looks are exchanged as everyone weighs their options. On the one hand, there's a chest up there with quite a bit of loot by now. On the other, there's some pretty serious potential pain between them and it. Ragnar seems to get an idea. Ilara, you know protection from elements, eh? Can you teach the lass? The elf lady, apparently Ilara, considers that for a few moments. Perhaps. It's not a particularly difficult spell. Would your master disapprove, Rhonda? She asked the girl, not wanting to step on the toes of the one she's apprenticed to. Well, he does believe in learning on the job, admits Rhonda. And Ilara smiles. Ah, he sounds wise then. Now, I'll only be showing you how to protect from electricity for now. You can work against any element, but that'll take a bit more time to teach than we have. I pay attention too, and write what I can in my library. Fluffles will be practicing this later, definitely. I'm pretty sure the rat sliding will still do some damage to the group, but it should be much more manageable for them now. The casters look pretty tired by the time they're done, though. I'm afraid we'll be down to simple cantrips for the fight, though, apologises Ilara, and Rhonda nods. Personally, I'm impressed the kid had enough to cast on 2 people. As the party starts to ascend, Freddy offers a plan. I think I can get the attention of one of them, with Lucas and Fiona's help. You guys can focus on the other with Ragnar, then get mine? Ragnar chuckles. They'll focus yours first, lad. I'm never gonna let you try to tag one of those for longer than needed. Yvonne and Ilara nod, and Freddy nods as well. Ragnar is the first to climb onto the landing, and the time for planning is over. I keep the rats from leaping forward, letting the party climb up and organise themselves briefly, then allow the rats to attack. Yesh, are those dire rats or Pikachus? Definitely glad they had the foresight to protect from lightning. Everyone looks a bit crispier than they prefer, but nobody is grievously wounded, even if Ragnar's beard is smoking. Him and Freddy leap to their plan, and it seems my rats need to recharge after that. Yvonne looks like she has something up her sleeve as she takes a few precious seconds to focus on the rat being harried by Freddy and the spiders. True strike, she shouts, before loosing the arrow, right into the eye of the one being ganged up on. It had taken a few other attacks from the others while she prepared, and that attack of hers finishes the first dire rat off. Over with Ragnar. I'm not quite sure how he's doing actually. He's been bitten several times, and though he's bleeding, he's laughing, and I think swearing at the rat in Dwarven. He doesn't look too concerned about his blood slowly leaking out, and it looks like his HP, while below half, is pretty stable there. Yvonne doesn't have another true strike in her, apparently, but everyone's combined efforts soon finish the second one off as well. As the mana rolls in for me, I see Ragnar Sager, his HP dipping dangerously. I think he has some ability to let him put off damage for a bit. Ilara is on him quickly, though, and even with only cantrips she gets him stabilised. Ah, that was a good fight, he says, taking a seat on the floor, not even bothering with the chest. Speaking of, I'll make sure Timo isn't planning a hit and run on whoever opens it. I needn't worry though. Looks like he's in a maze, blazing trails for the thieving dire rats. Yvonne nods, cautiously approaching the chest. Good thing Ilara insisted we bring our guides. I don't think we could have handled that on our own. The two kids exchange looks before Freddy speaks up. I think you would have. Last time we were here, it sounded like a storm was up here, and you guys haven't seen what's in the basement. This dungeon... He trails off, uncertain of his dungeoneering knowledge. Rhonda, though, soon picks up the slack. It doesn't do normal dungeon things. The first time we were here, we went into the basement to get some spell spores. There was a huge swarm of spiders watching us the whole time, but they didn't advance. Well, not until I got enough spores for old Stavian. Then the spider sign crawled out of the wall and the swarm started to advance. We ran. I don't think they even climbed the stairs to come after us. Freddy nods. Yeah, they had us, but let us go, after scaring us half to death. He shrugs as Yvonne seems to decide the chest is safe, and opens it. This dungeon's weird, but I don't think it wants to just kill people. It's generous with loot as well, adds Yvonne, as she pulls out a nice shield from the chest, and the sounds of coins sliding off it, as she pulls it out, can be heard clearly around the attic. That looks like a good shield for Mr. Ragnar, says Freddy, and the dwarf chuckles and shakes his head. I'd never hear the end of it if I ever used anything but my family shield, laddie. I think it's about enough to cover your guide's fees, though, eh? He says, looking to the other two adults, who both share a small grin and nod. I'm sure we can find something in that chest to pay young Rhonda as well. She holds up her hands before the two can try to refuse. It's non-negotiable, young ones. Even if it wasn't guild policy, none of us would be comfortable with you two not getting at least some share of the loot, after putting your lives on the line with us. The two kids look a bit bashful about that. I guess they never really considered that their lives could be on the line. I mean, they weren't. Even if I had to spend all my mana to call the rats off and loot myself for potions, I wouldn't let the kids get hurt. Still, I like this party. I hope they come back. Good role models for the kids. They take their time looting and have a bit of rest to divvy everything out. Rhonda gets herself a nice scroll of frozen armour, which Ilara says her master should be able to teach her how to transfer it to her spellbook more permanently. Freddy, of course, gets his shield. The party gets most of the coins and potions, which the kids are more than fine with. They have full pockets in the other containers anyway. They leave, and I send a few blackbirds after them on an expedition to see where they go. Looks like the longest expedition I've assigned yet. I also have a huge pile of mana after all that. My core is looking more like a softball now. I'm pretty sure I'll be fine in the chimney until about basketball size, so I have a fair bit of time left. Still, if people start coming back to delve, I'll finish the maze sooner than I thought.